Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. Great to have you with us on the program today. Back with us, Joan Porte, author of the book Signs of the Times, the ultimate astrological cookbook. She's been with us on the program before talking about the cookbook, the great concept of having basically an astrological dinner party, having people over cooking foods for the particular signs of the people that are there. Joan, welcome to the program. First of all, I said sign, so I just violated the rule. It's more than just the sun sign we're talking about here.
Yes, but it's rising sign, it's south node sign, it's planets that are in the first house. So there's all sorts of fun things.
Well, and it's a fun cookbook, Signs of the Times, the ultimate astrological cookbook. I mentioned in the past you've been doing this for over 30 years, studied under Adam Gainsberg, world-acclaimed astrologer, founder of Soul Sign Astrology. Briefly, let's talk a little bit about him and what impact he had on your life, because he basically was life-altering for you.
Yeah, he was. I had been studying astrology very peripherally since I was a kid. And then in college, but then, you have to go and get a real job and blah, blah, blah. And I sort of put it away for a while. And then I started working on it again. But I studied it in what we call like the Western traditional astrology for over 12 years. And I was working and doing charts, but there was always something that was missing. In fact, I was sort of doing it as a hobby. I wasn't charging. I wasn't really doing it professionally because I'm like, I don't understand some things. And there were some things about my chart that I didn't understand. And I'm like, I love it. It's fascinating, but it's interesting. It's missing something. And then again, a friend of mine said to me, you got to come hear this guy talk. And I'm like, okay, fine. So we go up and Adam is there. It was at the National Cathedral in Washington. They rent out their spaces and he's talking about Pluto and karma and the South Node. And I'm like, oh my God, that's it. And I grabbed his books that night and I started reading it. And all the things that didn't make sense made sense studying soul sign. And then I took a class with him. And then I took several years of private classes with him. And he really turned things around because, again, I didn't feel comfortable as interesting as it was putting myself out there without that piece that was missing. And it was the karmic piece. Particularly, I keep saying I'm a Gemini South Node. Well, by sun, I'm a Scorpio. But by karmic identification, I'm a Gemini, which is why I can't stop talking. And I do 10 things at a time, and I multitask and this and that. And as a little kid, I was always jumping around and being nervous. And, my mother used to call me a jumping jack. Well, that's all shadow aspect of Gemini. And plus, when I was younger, all these men who were Geminis kept following me, and I don't get along with Geminis. But not that I don't mean you, darling.
I just left the room. That's okay.
Yeah. But I mean, the idea here was that they were all coming back from the past kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, ding. So yes, he did. He's a great guy. I hate him because he's not even 40 yet. He's a genius. But other than that, he's a great guy.
Well, and you talk about astrology, you say it's sort of like the weather. You can't change the fact it's going to rain, but you can grab an umbrella and take your coat with you. So it doesn't, you're not a fortune teller is what I'm getting at.
No. I'm not a fortune teller. If you ask me to do your yearly chart, I'll say, this is what's happening. This is, stuff that's going on. But no, it's up to you to make it. But I do have people who say, I don't like my birth chart, change it. And I'm like, can't do that.
Not in this life. Maybe in another life we can do that.
Maybe in another life, but not this one. I can't change it. But I can help mitigate it. And I can't tell you, I knew I hit something when I had people calling me up in tears saying, you finally understand what's been going on in but I couldn't put my finger on it. Very quickly, I had this woman, one of the first charts I did professionally, back in the days when we had cassette tapes. So this is how.
Oh, yes.
And I sort of, she was a very buttoned down businesswoman. I'm like, oh my God, I must be doing something wrong. It's when I used to say things like that. Because I'm finding that this woman has, spiritual healing power. And I'm like, she's going to hate this. She's going to hate this. So I sort of slipped it to her apologetically. And she called me up in tears. Well, she's Peruvian. Her grandmother was a Peruvian shaman. But her mother turned against that and kept telling her it was bad. So she held all this stuff in, but she had the talent, but she was never allowed to express it. And from that moment on, I said, I'm never going to doubt. I'm just going to say what I see and go with it. And it's amazing what you find out about people that they say no one should know that. It's deep in my subconscious. And how did you know it? I'm like,
And I'm sure you get that a lot. Joan
Yeah.
Porte is our guest on the program. The book is The Signs of the Times, the Ultimate Astrological Cookbook. We've talked about the cookbook on the past couple of programs. They're available at the website, podcast, on YouTube. Her website is signsofthetigns.com. A couple minutes left in the program. This is combining the love of food, which we've talked about, as well as recipes, and it's great to have a dinner party. It's a brand new theme. All of us have these signs, and all of it. It's a great conversation starter. And I would imagine the only problem, maybe these dinner parties will go on a little bit longer than they ever have before because there's so many things to talk about and great food to eat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I've had that. I did this recently back when I was in Washington, and I did it was a women's book group type thing. And we did that. We had everybody bring something for the sun sign. And I was supposed to be like the intro and then leave. And I didn't get out of there. I don't think they ever got to the book, because then they started asking me, well, but my chart has this and my chart, and can you do, and I had my computer with me. So I started printing off charts, and they had to do their book next week because I kind of monopolized the whole time. But it was fun. Everybody was having fun, so they kept going with it.
Also, if you're interested, the Signs of the Times is the name of the book, and the website is signsofthetigns.com. If you're interested in getting a hold of Joan and talking about astrology, you can get that information from her website as well, signsofthetigns.com. One of the things that's really fascinating in the book is you do name dropping of famous people and their food cravings, that type of thing. And one thing that's really interesting with the president, and it's really not necessarily food related, it's the fact that many people feel that he needs to be maybe a little more touchy-feely, that type of individual. And you're saying because, again, of the signs, that's really not who he is or who he's going to be.
It's very hard. Everybody wants him to be Bill Clinton and feel your pain.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, the president is a Leo. In fact, his birthday is August 4th, and he's a Leo by sun sign. But he's an Aquarius by rising sign, and Aquarians are not touchy-feely people. They're very detached. Their personal freedom is their thing, and they live in their heads. So he could sit there. Everybody says, "Oh, he's the college professor." Yes, he is. He could sit there going, "But this is the way people should act." And I'm sure his aides are saying, "But people don't act that way. You have to," and he does it. I mean, he gets out there, and he has to be pushed, because it doesn't make sense to him. This is what you need to do to, increase jobs or whatever. And this is the logical way to do it. And politics has nothing to do with logic, as we know. But so I'm sure it's very confusing, but he's not Bill Clinton. Yes, they both are Leos, but Bill Clinton has a chart like no other, as you can imagine.
I can imagine that. I can imagine that.
Yes, Bill has quite the chart.
The book is Signs of the Times. The website is signsofthetigns.com, the ultimate astrological cookbook. Joan Porte has been our guest on the program. Astro Dinner Party. You combine the astrology part of it along with the food part of it, astrological gastronomy. It's a great idea. A lot of great recipes as well in there. It's an excellent book, Signs of the Times, available at signsofthetigns.com. Joan, it's been a pleasure to have you on the program. We will have you back and talk more. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
You're welcome. You're listening to This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network.